Okay, so here we've got a value area low. We've got value area low. We've got a big trade buy in here. And it is 234. So right at the beginning of the session. Now we've got a big trade sell there. Yeah, so value area low. Plus a low volume node. Because it's so early in the session, we really just want to wait and see. We want to look for something that gives us a good confirmation and good risk reward on a mean reversion trade, or we want to see a good break and retest. The break and retest is harder to trade because of the low volume node. That makes it a higher risk situation or a higher risk kind of option. This is also like a, yeah. So we failed to kind of break above here. I think we want to see the big trades in the right places, and that will give us either an entry or nothing. Low volume node here. This is the low volume area, really, this one. But we've already kind of tested it twice, so this is the third test. So we've got a big sell in here as well. Big buy and a big sell. Another big sell. So either see, to me, if I consider this a range, we're below the value area low. If I take the daily chart, we've broken the value area low. We're now, but I think that any buy is kind of rendered irrelevant, or it's a much higher risk with the low volume node right there. I think we'll probably squeeze higher. If we break above here. to me it's too high risk because of the low volume node and the size of it. Like we could wick right down anywhere into this space. This isn't like if we so this is our range. This is our current range, and as I see it, you can trade the mean reversion from here to the value area high, which is actually, yeah, I mean it's only there on the daily profile. Kind of looking for this. It's interesting. We've tapped the no, that's the previous daily high. So we haven't gone past that. We haven't gone past the previous daily low. So we've not swept either of them. So what I want to do is I want to stay out of it for now. I want to see if we see a good break, and then get a retest on a low volume node with corresponding aggressive, like market buys, big trades, then that's worth paying attention to. See, we're testing the low volume node now. And for me, like entering here because of the big trades and the sells that weren't really making any effect, with a stop loss this big, kind of to target the value area high here isn't at the market open. I think we need to see conviction in a direction before we make a decision, because this is a failed high, like failed new high and a failed continuation. And this move here is also like if it's confirmed, then it's not. We want to see that it's not just a wick and then a pop back up. Which it could well be. I mean, this here could be considered an interesting decision level because you've got some cells in here that will get taken out by a reversal. So closing through this level could be interesting for a long, but to target the previous daily high, on the basis that we're wicking the low volume node at the edge of the value area, to then continue higher. Or we can look at this and kind of say, well, there's a low volume node here. If we get an aggressive sell in here, we can enter here like that, and then we can target the previous daily low or the next low volume node. I'm not going to do this because although we have broken out, we are still in the low volume node from over here. Look at like all of this here is a big low volume node. And that invalidates this sell at the moment for me. Okay, so this is we've recovered a kind of big delta buy level here on the daily profile, the daily volume profile, market profile. Arguably, this was all a low volume node. I'm interested in a long if we break above this here, because to me that says that these sellers aren't in control anymore. So if we close through this, that would be for me based on the big trades and based on the profile and what the value area looks like. We've tested the low volume node on the edge of the value area low, and then we're finding support. And this is our low volume node at the moment here now. The low volume node of potential concern. I want to see this close through this level really. See if we do. Call that a 1 minute close through. That's us in the value area low again. Okay, so that's not held. So now the qualifying decision level will be here. And that is sellers in control. this is still an interesting level. I'm still not in a trade as far as I can see. As far as I'm concerned, we're still okay. So that's the move we want to see. That's the move that's giving us an actual, that's giving us the space for a break. So I'm classing this as the move that is breaking the value area low. That's a big sell come in just now. So we've got a sell there. The biggest trade of the day so far there. And we're following this now. I'm in here. I'm in this trade. That is because we created a low volume node here. We tested it here. And now my stop loss is behind the big trades. There is plenty of space here in this area for price to retest here and here. We've now gone through the whole of this low volume node as well, so on the trading view profile, it's kind of clearer that there was a break on the 5 minute and a retest on that candle, and then this was the move. So arguably this was the entry for the short, not this. But this is where the big trade sell is. So this is where sellers have decided that it's, the trend is set and this is worth committing to. Because the value area here on the MetaTrader isn't as clear cut as that. It's not where it is there. It's basically here at this level, and that kind of means that that suggests that we broke outside the value area and then we broke back inside the value area for this move here before then making the move. Now because of this trade, I think we're getting more come in. Now, in terms of targets, previous daily low is a long way away. There's another low volume node here. The previous balance, let's have a look at that. The previous balance is here. Okay, so that, you know, that gives us an idea. That's not a super exciting risk to reward. Another low volume node in here, but let's see if this big sell holds any. Okay, so I'm a break even on my first of two entries here. Because my first entry was actually above this big sell. And now I've got more aggressive sells coming in. We'll see. I'll definitely close one of the two entries that I've taken at 1 to 2. So there was a buy in here as well. One of these is a buy, but it's, again, you had an aggressive buy and then an aggressive seller immediately afterwards. And now on this candle here, I've got another aggressive sell, I believe. Yes, it's a sell. So aggressive buy, even more aggressive sellers. So that's a good indication we've got a continuation now. Okay, I've removed all my risk now because we've broken this low again. I want to see continuation and continuation and continuation. And I want to see if that happens. I'm pretty much at 1 to 2 here now. Almost. I know this looks kind of ridiculous, just drawing circles on the candles all the way, but it definitely helps me really, like, it's like transposing, so I really understand where everything is. Making sure I'm paying attention to each one. I could definitely make it more efficient for myself. There's a couple of big buys in here now. So that's interesting. Okay, so I'm going to close one of them here because there's a low volume node. Yeah, so that's one take profit. So I had one entry in here, like that I've now closed for a good risk to reward. And now we've got even more sellers coming in here. And because of the way price is moving, we're not getting any really massive low volume nodes, but we are getting consistent aggressive selling, which is enabling me to trail my stop in profit now. Because if there isn't a low volume node that I need to kind of protect myself from by having a massive stop loss, then that helps. And obviously here, the only low volume node is already like well into profit. And that also does have, you know, the big trades in, big sales. So this is where I can put my stop loss here. Which is good because that's pretty. That means I've got I'm like a 1-to-1 in. So that low volume node hasn't really. Yeah, there were some buyers there, but nothing with massive conviction. I've said it to myself before, and I'll say it again, but it really does help me doing Euro USD in the morning and then NAS100 in the afternoon, for my like daily trading strategy. Okay, so I'm trailing quite tight here because we're getting more aggressive orders, more big trade sales on like just one on each candle. I'm now down here. If it comes back and takes me out, that's fine because my risk to reward ratio is already like maybe 1-to-4, 1-to-5 on that. 3. No, it's the second trade. I'm just not. I don't want to give anything back. Really. So I've stayed above here. I've stayed on this one because there's a big sell here compared to the other big trades. If we break this again, yeah, we just have. No, I am gonna go here. Yep, just like that. See if we get a response from this low volume node. But this low volume node's already been tested before in the past, so it's not. I don't think it's necessarily going to accurately create a response or be something that's super significant. I think we are going to go. Well, I don't know what we're going to do. Okay. So there's no low volume node in there. where we're at now. I'm still in this on my MetaTrader. It's not come as high as that on my account. Maybe a matter of time, and that's fine. Yeah, that's me out now. Cool. Look at that. Two 1-to-3s in a row. So that's yeah. Now we've got aggressive buyer right here. Okay. So this is the first time we've had any real buys in response to all of this selling. It's been quite decisive. Okay, so now I can go back to the higher time frame and I can take stock of where we're at and what's going on, because so much of the time when I get into these trades I get sucked into a very low time, like low time frame, 1 minute, whatever. So we're gonna have buyers coming in now. Oh, that's the wrong one. Piling in their droves, it would seem. And that's fine. Interesting to see if they break any big cells. Where have we got our biggest cells? We've got this one is the biggest one, which is what I kind of based my thesis off, and this one here at the top of this candle. So you want to see if things are actually going to change and actually going to go higher. We want to break those. We have created a big low volume node in this move. I'm not going to take anything inside of this. If we want to see he says. So basically for me, there's still, like, from where we were before, there's still this original decision level. I'd be interested in looking at what happens on the footprint chart and what happens to the aggressive buys and sells to the big market orders around this level. If we get back up there, because if we come all this way down and then come all this way back up, I think we're gonna go above the previous daily highs. We could well continue to go down. That's fine. So something here. Something as well. Break and retest. So you can have the break and retest of this high, which is kind of the failed high, which is the requirement for the continuation higher. And then you've got this decision level from the decision level of being the difference between the mean reversion trade and the trending day trade here. So they can, these could both materialize. And I would take either of these. Anything lower, I don't think so. Not around here. The low volume node below than the previous daily low. If I had held a wider stop, we could still we might still be in it, but two 1 to 3s is a decent trade. Anyway, so if I was going to focus just on the 5 minute, I would be looking at this move here, realizing that it's all a low volume node. This wick is kind of potentially just testing the low volume node as it exists. And has given an entry on the 5 minute to target the previous daily low. We've got trapped buyers. We've not come up past any of the big sells. Yeah, I think I'm pretty. This would have been a good trade, a good bet. This could be another 1 to 3 almost kind of thing. We'll see. I always find that I'm kind of really fixated and focused in on that 1 minute time frame on that trade, and I take the risk that I take when I take it, and that's fine, and that works out. Hmm. So I always find that I kind of really fixate in and focus on this 1 minute and get these really fast trades, and then I like to go and flick back to the 5 minute to check what I've not been seeing on the higher time frame, because inevitably there's usually something. Um, so I find there's often something I miss while I'm on the 1 minute getting focused in, and then if I try and then I often step back onto the 5 minute. I'm like, I find it hard to let the trades breathe enough then in that space after having followed, trail to stop down on like I just did. So we've got a big zero print here. Wow, look at that. 361 20 buyers. It's pretty decisive. So here we've got some sellers and some buyers and some sellers stepping in. I think this is likely to get a visit. Yeah. So yeah, this is what I was kind of looking for. We had the zero print. In here. So we needed to fill that. Um, Still in this big low volume node. In As I say, I'm still looking for the short. For a continuation, we after the move, and the way it's gone so far, we're pretty. Maybe buyers are in control. Maybe buyers are back in. I was looking at that 0 print thinking that's got to get. It makes sense that price comes back there to test that, but less so any higher than that. This to me is. Yes, we've regained quite a. Aggressive. So, big trade sell followed by big trade buy. So we've got a big. Delta spike there. I concentrating today? There's a lot to watch. So I'm looking for a sell from the 5-minute time frame, because I get my, we've got our break, we've got our retest, now we've got the sellers trying to defend this level. We have got plenty of buyers participating too. Another one. See if we come back past this cell, which is my, I'm gonna get rid of these. So we've got these 3 levels basically. These are the big trades that are the biggest trades of the session. They're bigger than any of the buys by a long way, and they're those of what's dictated the price so far and the movement down. We've got some buyers coming in which is interesting. In terms of this, we've got a low volume node up here, low volume node there, but those are all above the sell. I'm gonna break even on this already because I don't like this, and I kind of regret entering it because there's quite a lot of buys coming in. I'm just much less comfortable with that than my initial trade, because my initial trade was with the momentum, with the main selling pressure, and this is like a higher time frame entry, but I don't have more conviction in it than I had when things were moving fast. I actually have less. As much as I don't like using the word should, this was the break of the value area, the move down. This is a retest of a low volume node and testing the sellers that created the first move. And then what should happen is a continuation, and then the logical target is the previous daily low. That's where we're at. That's the logic. That makes sense. It meets the criteria. I don't like this as a trade because there's too many aggressive, like too many big order buys coming in right now that are and not enough defense from the sellers. So yeah, I'm uncomfortably in it because it's part of the strategy. It fits the criteria. It makes sense. Saying it out loud kind of helps, but I also still, it doesn't mean I'm like, it doesn't feel good. It's good to notice when the trades that you enter don't feel good, especially when I can remind myself that it's sticking to the plan. It is part of it. I am risking profit, not not equity. And now I've given myself that little pep talk. We can carry on. Stop loss now slightly in profit. Because I don't want to see it come back. Let's send it on its merry way down to the previous daily low, shall we? Let's do that. Jolly good. I need to rethink this drawing circles everywhere thing. It's like not the one. It is not the one. I can tell myself I like it, but it doesn't mean it's like actually effective. Because it just gets messy. So let's have a look at what we saw or what it looked like on the 5 minute, because I find it so much harder to like so much of the time I get this initial rush, and then there's the retest, and then there's the continuation that I like. For some reason I find it so much harder to hold that conviction for that higher, just for a longer period of time. I don't know why I find the speed more like secure. I guess it all happens faster, and then the risks are way quicker. But defining the low volume node accurately here is something I didn't find easy. So just in review, I took a loss getting into this trade because I took it too early and my stop was too tight because there were three big sells. There was one here, one there, and one there, or something like that. And I was anticipating not coming above the middle one, and we came above the middle one because I thought I was looking at the low volume node being here, which like to this it is. Perhaps if I'd drawn out the profile on MetaTrader instead, I would have had a more accurate low volume node here, but it will happen quite quick. So yeah. No more big trades. As soon as we break this low, I'm moving my stop loss in really tight because I want to lock in the profit. I want to see this low broken, and then my stop will be in this wick here. It's funny. There we go. Okay, so my stop loss is now literally here, which is now a guaranteed 1 to 3 nearly. Sometimes I just find it really hard not to hold floating P&L. And even if there's a low volume node that it could wick into, it's not worth risking all of this profit for the sake of getting an extra one to whatever this is. Yeah. It's just not worth anything really. So, and there's no big trades either to make decisions based on. And I've got now a buy in here. As soon as I mention big trades, to me it would make sense for this to make the previous daily low. Having not made the previous daily high and to have been a downtrending day, we're gonna get stopped out here, I think, because of the big trade buy. That's fine because we've made our trade. The trade was good. So interesting because I'm always like I do one trade and then I'm like, boy, I'm done. Find it kind of, I get through one and it kind of fries me. And then there's that kind of conversation with yourself where I'm reminding myself that the end of one trade is, it's the start of another trade, or there's no kind of start and finish. It's like how, you think there's that kind of the idea that you've missed the move or you've missed the thing that you wanted to happen and it hasn't, you haven't caught it and it's all terrible and blah blah blah. And while you're having that conversation with yourself, the opportunity is literally right in front of you. So if you can let go of that enough, or that storytelling, or that kind of ego, like kind of, yeah, self-bashing enough to then just see what's there, then you can take the same trade twice instead of once. It's going to stop us out here. Perfect. Look at that. A fine merry trade, and I am now going to close my platform and call it a day. That was good. That was really good. I'm glad I'm streaming these. I'm going to keep streaming them. No one's watching, but if nothing else, I can look at it on YouTube for myself. There we go, look at that. Anyway,